The first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Let's set the stage. As the candidates enter, they're separated by more than just gender, as the first time a man versus a woman for president of the United States. There's a height difference as well. Donald Trump stands at 6'3", Hillary Clinton at 5'5". The 10-inch height difference is quite noticeable. To even out the playing field, Hillary Clinton requested a shorter lectern so she can look more natural standing behind it. Looking out toward the audience, you can see that Lester Holt, the moderator, is seated between both candidates. He's at the center of his desk, and the sides of his desk, when compared to the sides of the lecterns, have a particular distance. In reality, Donald Trump's lectern is slightly closer to Lester Holt than Hillary Clinton, and there is a reason for this. You can also tell that Donald is closer because the apex of the shadows is slightly off-centered. From a wide shot, you can see how the set is constructed. The horizontal lines clearly indicate there's a height difference between the two candidates. So why is Hillary Clinton slightly set back? It's actually because of what's behind her. The words of the Declaration of Independence. They're behind Donald Trump as well, but in a different view, they'll play a role. There were a variety of viewing angles that any station could choose from the video feeds. CBS, for example, chose to mix the wide shots with some split-screen views. During those split-screen views, the candidates are actually now even in height. Of course, the background fonts have to look the same size, which is why Hillary Clinton's lectern was slightly set back in order to create an evenness in the typefaces when the camera zoomed in. And while the close-up camera helps Hillary Clinton make up for the 10-inch height difference, the angle of her eye contact is above Donald Trump's eyes. One of the interesting parts of the debate is whether you had the split-screen view or the single candidate view as to whether or not you could see their gestures. Hillary Clinton was well coached, trying to keep most of her gestures relatively shoulder-width apart. So if I speed up a little bit of her actions, you could see the majority of her gestures pretty much stay in the marked frame as you see it in the single candidate view. At times, her energy is higher and she'll go outside the boundaries. If I slow down the footage, you could see her hands are generally in front of her, but sometimes they get much wider apart. It changes the perspective of those watching the single candidate view as to those watching the split screen view, especially when the candidate is trying to make emphatic points with their hands to support the content they're delivering. Donald Trump also likes to use gestures to clarify or emphasize certain points. His tendency is to use gestures that are wider than the width of his shoulders. In the single candidate view, this is not much of a problem, but in the split screen view, many of his actions and gestures tend to fall outside the frame necessary to be seen in the close-up view. And this puts Donald Trump at a disadvantage because he likes to use his hands to make very emphatic points in order to solidify his particular positions. It works better for him in the single candidate view than in the close-up shots. Donald Trump's high energy caused a number of vocal problems regardless of the countdown timer as he sped up his speech.
We start on that. My father gave me a very small loan in 1975, and I built it into a company that's worth many, many billions of dollars with some of the greatest assets in the world. And I say that only because that's the kind of thinking that our country needs. Our country's in deep trouble. We don't know what we're doing when it comes to devaluations, and all of these countries all over the world, especially China, they're the best ever at it. What they're doing to us is a very, very sad thing. So we have to do that. We have to renegotiate our trade deals. And Lester, they're taking our jobs, they're giving incentives, they're doing things that, frankly, we don't do. Let me give you the example of Mexico. They have a VAT tax. We're in a different system.
Taking air quickly through the nose resulted in a number of sniffles that could be heard throughout the debate.
There's no tax. It's a defective agreement. Used certain laws that are there and how to buy in bigger numbers than ever. And what, because in many cases they own the companies. So we wish you a lot of luck. It's supposed to be because...
So taking air quickly through the nose or through the mouth eventually dries out the throat. And to compensate for that, while Hillary Clinton is speaking, Donald Trump needs to take sips of water, which is very apparent in the split screen view, although would not be visible in the single candidate view. And Hillary Clinton had some visual and vocal issues, especially when she was less comfortable with the topic.
And one of the things he's done is to let loose cyber attackers to hack into government files, to hack into personal files, hack into the Democratic National Committee. And we recently have learned that, that this is one of their preferred methods of trying to wreak havoc and collect information. Military alliance in the history of the world to really turn our attention to terrorism. We're working with our friends in the Middle East, many of which, as you know, are Muslim majority nations.
One way to look more comfortable is to use virtual space to match concepts with gestures in a consistent manner.
Of skills from business to government, but sometimes what happened in business would be really bad for government.
But the same space can't mean multiple things.
So we need to be more precise in how we talk about these issues. People around the world follow our presidential campaigns so closely, trying to get hints about what we will do. Can they rely on us? Are we going to lead the world with strength and in accordance with our values? That's what I intend to do.
Donald Trump uses small changes in hand positions to identify different concepts.
Very quickly. I am very underleveraged. I have a great company. I have a tremendous income. And the reason I say that is not in a braggadocious way.
But in high-energy moments, he uses the same space for multiple concepts.
We have a country that needs new roads, new tunnels, new bridges, new airports, new schools, new hospitals.
The same action in the same space cannot be used to describe multiple concepts. Beyond actions and words, a sense of presence can be gained by active listening. The split screen view is evidence of Hillary Clinton looking at Donald Trump when he speaks. Sometimes she'll look down to take notes, but overall she maintains focus on him as he's speaking. Donald Trump, on the other hand, very rarely looks at Hillary Clinton while she's speaking, occasionally glancing at her maybe to make a comment, but in the long run, he does not do a very good job of active listening. Overall, Hillary Clinton was more prepared for this debate than Donald Trump. She was consistent in her voice and actions, and she was an active listener. Donald Trump was speaking too quickly at times, breathing improperly, and did not maintain a focus on Hillary Clinton as she spoke.